Peace, Chem family. EM Hotep. Welcome to Self-Care Sessions with Ba Naset. I am Ba Naset, and today we're going to be talking about reparenting yourself, root chakra healing. If this is your first time seeing me, my name is Ba Naset. I'm a licensed registered nurse and energy healer. Okay, and this is our weekly community chat where we talk about all things African holistic health. So hi to everyone who's coming in. Come in and send me a wave. Let me know where you're watching from. Okay, the way that this works is that 24 hours before we do the live, I post in the stories the topic of the live. Okay, so you'll see it every single Sunday. We meet here every Monday on Instagram Live at 7 p.m. to have these talks, okay? So, again, today's talk is about reparenting yourself. And this came up in the last discussion. Now, I was supposed to do this last week, and I hope y'all will forgive me. Peace to C-Meeb from New Orleans. I was supposed to do this last week, but I was packing, y'all. I could not make it. I'm so sorry. So we're going to do this topic today. Okay. So it came up in the previous discussion on cleaning the colon. And while we were talking about colon health, I let you all know that there is a energetic component to every single issue. Every single disease, there's an energetic component. And when I say energetic, I mean mental, emotional, or spiritual reasons why you have manifested a particular disease, right? And so the colon corresponds to the root chakra, and that's how reparenting yourself came up. So let's get into what reparenting is, okay? So in order to do that, y'all need to know what the root chakra is and why reparenting has anything to do with the root chakra. Happy New Year to everyone. Thank you for coming in. I see it's your first time, Romeo. Peace. Okay. So what is the root chakra? Okay, let's talk about energy. Energy is life force. Okay, energy is life force. It is your ability to exert force, all right? And throughout the body, we have many different centers of energy. We have them in our palms. So, for example, if you go like this, it's a signal to someone to stop because you have energy in your palms. You have them throughout the limbs and the joints. You have them in your head, all throughout the body. Now, in the Raseki system, peace, mahalo, chef. Peace to you, Sinette. In the Raseki energy healing system, it's an ancient African healing system. We focus on the 7 main centers of energy in the body, which correspond to different organs in the body. And those are known most commonly as chakras, and we call them aritu, okay? Aritu, which are literally gateways. They're spiritual gateways, okay? So the one we're focusing on today is the root chakra, okay? Or in the Kemetic Reiki tradition, we call it the Sefket, and that's located at the base of the spine. So it does correspond to the colon. It also corresponds to other parts of the intestines and your physical structure. So like your bones, your feet, your legs, your knees, everything that keeps you rooted, okay? Everything that keeps you rooted. So the energy of the root chakra is developed early in your life, anywhere between ages 0 to 7. It's the first one that develops. So it represents your sense of groundedness, your sense of safety, your sense of security, okay? That should have been developed early in your life with your mother and your father. We know as a community, we've had a lot of things happen in our community, a lot of things that were very traumatic for us. And so we've had certain interruptions early in our life. It can be interrupted by different forms of violence, different forms of trauma, parental abandonment, which is why we're going to talk about reparenting yourself today, because that's a way to heal the root chakra. Okay? Now, how it shows up in your life if you have root chakra issues is you may feel insecure. You may constantly be lacking in the things that would give you a sense of safety and security, meaning your finances may be off consistently. You may have experienced chronic homelessness. You may be experiencing chronic financial difficulty. You may be experiencing issues with abuse on a regular basis. Okay, chronic abusive relationships. So anything that threatens your sense of safety and security is a root chakra issue. So let's talk about the reparenting. Okay, reparenting is a term that's being used now. It's a psychology term that references essentially healing the inner child, meaning the part of yourself as a child that's age 0 to 7 that did not get their needs met. And because you did not get your needs met, it's showing up in your life consistently, in your adult life. Okay? Issues with feeling secure in your relationships, having unstable relationships, unstable emotions, unstable home life, unstable finances. Okay? Peace, Sister Kaiti, for joining. Okay, all of those things are corresponded to issues with your inner child that are not healed. So when that's happening, it means that your inner child is actually calling out for that area to be healed. It's asking for attention to be paid in that area. And a lot of us ignore it. Okay. What I was saying before about the colon or issues with areas corresponding to the root chakra, like issues with the feet, the knees, the bones, which correspond to your structure, your groundedness, okay, your foundational things, right? You can manifest physical diseases in that area when you have root chakra issues, inner child issues that have not been healed, okay? So reparenting is essentially where you become your parent. You are looking at all of the things that your inner child wanted and needs and hasn't been getting. And then you figure out how to give that to yourself, how to do that for yourself. Okay? So the first step in doing that is acknowledging that there's an unmet need. Okay, there's an unmet need. Now, I'm going to give you an example of what it looks like when there is a need when it comes to reparenting, right? Where there's a blockage or something missing, parental abandonment issues. I've had a client speak with me about this before, and I've actually experienced this personally. So if anyone here has experienced this, let me know in the comments, okay? So say you are in a relationship with someone. You're in a relationship, and all of a sudden you don't hear back from the person. Y'all were communicating very frequently, and you don't hear back from the person for a few hours or even for a day. And it gives you such anxiety. It feels to the point like you want to die. Like the anxiety is overwhelming for you. And so in order to reach the person, you do it's an acting out behavior where you will constantly text the person or call the person over and over and over and over and over, back to back to back to back to back. I had a client who expressed that she would do this, and even when she stopped doing it because she realized that it was not working out for her, that it would just push people away, she still felt the anxiety. She didn't know how to get past the anxiety. And I understand what this is. And she had talked about her issues with parental abandonment with her father. And I had also had this experience, so I knew what she was talking about. That was something that I did very early in my life. So I'll share this with you all. When I was very young, my dad was the type of person, if you said anything to him that he did not like, click, he don't want to talk to you no more. He don't want to hear nothing else you had to say. Now, as a kid, you internalize these things. You think it's about you. Why doesn't my dad love me? Why doesn't my dad care about me? So on and so forth. As an adult now, talking to his side of the family, he was like this with everybody. But I didn't know that then. I didn't know that. You understand? So when he would do that, when he would hang up, I would call over and over and over and over. And inside, it was like a crying. There was a crying for me. I was like, Dad, pick up the phone. Pick up the phone. I need to talk to you. I need to hear from you. And so that showed up later in life, in relationships. So when I had a client who brought this to me, it was like a full circle moment, because I didn't know that anybody else experienced that. It was a very high level of anxiety where you do things to try to bring that anxiety level down. Some things that are very harmful to you because you don't know how to deal with that pain. That's the issue that you want to address with reparenting. Okay? So I hope that's clear. If y'all understand what I'm talking about, let me know in the comments. Okay? So the first thing you want to do is acknowledge that there's an unmet need, and you want to write down what it is, because you can't heal anything that you haven't acknowledged. The second thing that you want to do is you want to figure out when it showed up in your life. So I remember when I did this, I probably was about 19 years old, and I did this with a friend, a guy friend who I was talking to at the time, and couldn't get through to him and was calling and texting back to back to back to back. And he asked the question, when did you learn this? Like, where did you learn this? Where did you pick this up from? And I actually thought about the question, where did I learn it? And remembered that it started with my dad. You understand? So you want to ask that question, where did it show up? Who failed you? So you can figure out what it is that you need to do to reparent yourself in this area. Okay? Then you want to figure out, what did you need instead? What did you need your parent to give you at that time? For me, what I needed was for my dad to answer the phone. I needed to know that he was there, that he wasn't going to leave, that he wasn't going to abandon me. You understand? I needed to know that. So same thing for you if you're experiencing inner child unhealed inner child issues. You need to figure out, what is it that you need in this moment? What did you need back then that you didn't get? So you can figure out how to give it to yourself now. The next thing you want to do is you want to accept that your parents did the best that they could have done, based on who they are, based on the generation that they came up in. You know that some of our parents' generations, they did not have the emotional intelligence that we have now. There were certain things that just were not talked about. There are certain things that were not valued. And there are certain things that were not available to them in terms of therapy and help. We have a lot more available to us now that they didn't have. They didn't have the tools. They didn't have the skills. They did the best that they could. So you want to accept that, because it's going to give you a certain level of healing, rather than the resentment and the anger, because a lot of us have that. My mom didn't do what she needed to do for me, or what I needed her to do. Well, she did what she could do with what she had, and the tools that she had, and the level of understanding that she had, and the level of consciousness that she was at. Okay? So you want to accept that. Sister Rani Asset says, yes, I can relate. Reparenting allows you to take your life into your own hands. I was able to forgive my parents and move forward towards healing my inner child, which has made me a more productive adult. Give thanks. Give thanks. That's the purpose of reparenting. because there's nothing that you can do about the fact that you did not get what you needed as a child. And even if you were to express it to your parents now, a lot of them never developed the tools, and a lot of times they're not going to give it to you. It's just not going to happen. I come from a Jamaican family. They don't know how to say sorry or admit wrong, period. My parents don't know how to do that. That's like an insult to tell them to apologize. They do not know how to apologize, period. So if you're looking for that in order for your healing, you can forget about it. Okay? You're just going to have to accept that your parents gave you what they could. Okay? And then you want to figure out how you can get your needs met now. Okay? So now, this is where the reparenting comes in. There's one side of it, which is the remothering, and there's the other side, which is the refathering. Okay? Reparenting yourself. Ronnie Asset says, excellent message, Sinette. Do I? Okay, so let's talk about the roles of the mother and the father. Okay? The role of the mother is she's a nurturer, she is a healer, and she is a teacher. Okay? That's the role of the mother. A mother is here to nurture, to heal, and to teach. That is her role. What is the main role of the father? The father's role is the protector. He is a provider. And he provides order and structure. Order and structure. So let's break down what remothering is. Now we have Asad Kufu says, it's a shame, but as parents, we must even let our children teach us. That is the truth. That is the truth. When you come out of religion and you understand spirituality, you realize that we are not necessarily, our spirit is not necessarily the age that we are at chronologically in this lifetime. Meaning, as a child, your soul may be older than your mother or your father. You may be a much older soul than your parent, but because they may not have that knowledge of spirituality, they may not have that level of consciousness to understand. They feel like, well, I'm the parent, so you're not supposed to be teaching me nothing. They feel like they can't learn anything from you. And many parents are also insulted when their children try to teach them things. But when you understand things from an African spiritual perspective, you know that we've been here for many different lifetimes. Children come back, they're returned ancestors. So they're here to teach us as well. There has to be a respect going backward towards the parent and forward towards the children. There's a respect for your children as well. And a lot of parents never learn that. They don't really understand that. So that's where that attitude comes from. Okay. So Kufu says insulted and prideful. That's a fact. Ronnie Asset says the answers are before you in your children or the youth, especially if we listen to them. That's correct. The ancestors have their own information, the elders have their own information, and the children have their own information. The ancestors have timeless messages for us, and the elders are the closest to our ancestors. So they know more about the things that do not change because they've experienced many generations in this lifetime. So that's what they're here to teach us. They're here to give us the wisdom. They know that, okay, I've been here as a child, as a teenager, as a young adult, as a grown adult, as a middle-aged adult, and now as an old woman. And these are the things that do not change no matter what generation we're in. So they have that level of wisdom to give us. But the children have a level of wisdom. They know about the things that are current, the things that are changing, the new things that when we're older, we don't know. So there has to be a respect for the children too, because they have things to teach us. Ronnie Asset says, my girls have taught me true love. Give thanks. Give thanks. Okay, so let's talk about the remothering aspect, right? Now, the feminine aspect, this is also about rebalancing the left and right sides of the brain. So the feminine side of the brain is the right side, which is the creative side, which is why we create, we bring life forward. And the masculine side of the brain is the left side of the brain. What I'm talking about right now is deep African spiritual thought. Okay, nothing I'm talking about here is New Age. This is deep African spiritual thought. Okay, the left side of the brain is the logical side of the brain. That's the masculine side. Okay, so now let's get into the feminine side, the nurturing aspect of remothering yourself. That includes your self-care. Your self-care. A lot of us are lacking in self-care. Hygiene, proper nutrition. When you're a mother, you want to make sure that you're feeding your child so that they're growing up healthy. That's a part of your healing, your nutrition. I've talked about that in several of my videos. Okay. One of the things we may tend to do when we are hurting is we eat crap food. We eat junk food because that food, unfortunately, is filled with a lot of chemicals and it negatively affects the body. It may feel good at a particular time because these scientists out here, they intentionally play with the chemicals in the food to see what effect it has on the brain so that they know how to get you addicted to the food. I don't know if you know that. Okay. Khufu says, nutrition is linked to spirit. It is. It absolutely is. Okay. So proper nutrition. You want to feed yourself as if you are your baby. So you have to decide that whatever it is that you didn't get as a child, whatever that pain point is, you have to decide that you still get to have that. You get to have that. Okay. So the proper nutrition. Also, how do you speak to yourself? This is a part of nurturing. As a mother, a good mother speaks to her children in a particular way. She speaks life into her children. She's there to encourage her children because she's forming their mind. You understand? So how do you speak to yourself? Affirmations. That is a part of remothering. Sister Roni, who's on here right now, she's putting me on to some Kemetic affirmations from a program that came through the Asset Temple, I believe. So if you could, I would really appreciate if you put that information in the chat so somebody can see it. But affirmations, how you speak to yourself. Okay. Now, also, do you know how to cook? Do you know how to do certain basic things that your mother would have to do if she was taking care of you as a newborn? Do you know how to cook? Do you know how to prepare your food? A lot of y'all are eating takeout on a regular basis. No. No. Do you know how to cook? Okay. Now the healing aspect, this also ties into the food. You have to know how to feed yourself for healing. Do you have enough of the right foods in your diet? Do you have a balanced diet? Do you have enough of the greens? Do you have enough of the right grains? Or is your diet full of processed foods? This is a part of remothering. Rania said, she put the tag of Ra'u Nefer Amen. So y'all can go and check him out after you get off this live. Okay. Healing. So the proper foods. Do you neglect your health? Do you get your regular doctor visits? Are you going to your holistic, using your holistic healing modalities? Are you going to the gym? Are you getting your massages, your foot massages, your reflexology treatments, your back massages, your chiropractic treatments? A lot of people, when they hear about holistic things, they think it is it's just extra. It's something else that they have to pay for. It's your body. It is your temple. You're the one living in it. It's not something extra. It's a part of your care for yourself. If you are looking at yourself as your baby, and you're remothering yourself, and you have to take care of your baby. If your baby needed a particular treatment for their health, are you going to say, nah, that's too much, that's not worth it, that's too much, that's just extra, does insurance cover it? No, a good mother is going to see if they have the money to do it. My baby needs this. My baby needs this. Kufu says you pay for insurance, so pay for a holistic healer. That's a fact. A lot of people think that holistic healing is supposed to be free for some reason, and I don't understand that. I do not understand that. I have people all the time come to me and say, oh, well, do the herbs come with the service? No, it does not come with the service. It doesn't come with the service. You have to pay me for my time and my expertise. It's a service that's going to change the trajectory of your life. The same way y'all pay for bags and shoes and all that other stuff. Pay for your health. Take care of your health. It's important. Some of y'all are suffering every day. You're suffering with depression. You're suffering with pain in your body. You want to tell me it's not worth it to spend a few $100s to learn how to take care of yourself forever? That's crazy. That's crazy. So that's a part of remothering yourself. Spending your money on your holistic therapies, your colon hydrotherapy. Learning how to clean your colon out. Getting those regular treatments. Okay, your herbs. And your psychotherapy, your mental health. A lot of people don't go and get mental health services because they don't want to have to pay for it. And I know these things can seem expensive, but it costs more to be sick. It costs a lot to be depressed. It costs you a lot. It costs you a lot of missed opportunities. It costs you a lack of life, a lack of enjoyment. It costs a lot to be sick. It's cheap if you think about it. What you're really getting for the services is actually cheap. Okay. And then the last thing you want to do is teach. That's another part of remothering yourself, is teaching. Teaching yourself what you did not know. So your mother only has certain levels of information. She could only give you what it is that she knew. A lot of us are not living the African tradition of it takes a village to raise a child. You may not have had very many people helping to raise you as it should be. So there's certain gaps in your knowledge. Things that you need to know for your life. For example, if you know that you have communication issues in relationships, why don't you take a communications class? That's a part of remothering yourself. Some of us don't think it's worth it to spend that amount of money. Oh, what am I doing this for? Am I getting a degree? It's not about accolades from white institutions. That's not what it's about. It's about your own healing. It's about what you need for your life to be able to have better relationships. Communication helps in every area of your life. Do you know that when you communicate better, you appear more competent? No matter what it is that you do, if you can communicate it well, people think that you are more competent than what you are. This is why you have a lot of people nowadays getting scammed by certain people in the social media sphere because they got a good mouth game. They have a good mouthpiece. They know how to talk to people. So don't you think it would benefit you to learn communication skills if that's an area that you're failing in? So that's an aspect of remothering. Teach. Get yourself a coach to teach you the things that you don't know how to do that would improve your life. Whatever your pain point is. You understand? Kufu says, and there are people in the Black community that provide these services. Yes. Yes, that is a fact. There's a lot of people in our community who provide these services. And it's very difficult sometimes for the people who are doing real work to provide these services because we don't support them. So we say we want certain things, but you have to support the people who are providing the services to you. Otherwise, they don't exist. They don't exist without your support. And it's there to help you at the end of the day. So one hand wash the other. Okay. So now let's talk about the refathering aspect, the masculine aspect of healing the inner child. Now, the masculine side of the brain, that is the logical side of the brain. So you're tapping into a different energy with refathering. Okay. So providing. That's one of the main things that you want to do when you are refathering yourself. When you have issues with the root chakra, a lot of times you will have, it may appear as financial issues, chronic financial issues, chronic homelessness, chronic abuse. And it's easier to abuse someone who doesn't have their finances together, because you're dependent on other people to get your basic needs met. So you want to make sure that you can provide your basic needs as an adult. This seems very, very simple, because we all think everybody's supposed to have that together. But when people are dealing with trauma that they have not healed, this is how it shows up in your life. Unable to provide your basic needs. This is a part of refathering, to decide that you get to have these things. Okay? So having your a job that pays you enough money, or a business that pays you enough money to where you can afford housing, consistent food, clothing, okay? All of the basic necessities that an adult should have. Mobility. Whether you are driving a car or you are taking public transportation, Ubers, whatever it is, you need to make sure that you have the money to be able to do that. Okay, so that's a part of refathering, providing what your basic needs are. Then you have your survival, right? This is also a part of providing. Do you have an emergency plan in place? See, men are logical thinkers. That's what a father in the home is supposed to be. He's a provider. He's a protector. He's making sure that the home is safe. So do you have an emergency plan in place? Do you have emergency money? An emergency money stash of at least $1,000 in case something come up? Emergency supplies around the house? A basic first aid kit? Okay? There's a part of refathering yourself. Protecting. Okay. Men have a natural predatory nature. Men have a natural predatory nature. And it is necessary in order for them to be good protectors. They use that predatory nature in order to hunt, and in order to get the things that they need, in order to provide safety for their families and for themselves. In order to do that, you have to understand that there's a certain amount of malevolence in this world. Meaning, there are some people who can be very naive. And I can say this from experience. When you have a certain mindset that is more of a benevolent spirit, you don't always think of the many ways that somebody can harm you. You don't always think of the many ways that somebody could hurt you. Okay? Certain words I'm trying not to say. So you have to recognize malevolence in this world. If you are someone who is too soft, you're too agreeable, you don't have good or clear boundaries, you don't know how to be assertive, you don't know how to assert yourself, you don't know how to recognize malevolence, people who mean you harm, who intend harm, that's an area that you have to work on. And that's a part of refathering yourself, learning how to protect yourself. Developing the skills that you need to protect yourself. Every single living creature has a protective mechanism. Every creature. For some creatures, it's their size, like the elephant. The elephant is huge. Other creatures, they have these big teeth, sharp teeth. They can bite the hell out of you. Okay, the porcupine has those sharp needles coming out of its back. Every single creature has its own protective mechanism. Do you have one? If you don't, you need to develop one. That's a part of refathering yourself. Okay. Do you know how to avoid dangerous places? This is not about victim blaming or anything like that, but some of us become victims of violent crimes or find ourselves in very bad situations because we are in dangerous places and we don't recognize the danger. This is a part of using your logical mind, your left brain. Okay. The Eritrean Empress says, what are healthy protective mechanisms? I don't know what you mean by that. Can you elaborate? Healthy protective mechanisms. Okay, so that's what we're talking about right now. Developing good boundaries, learning how to assert yourself with communication. One of the things that I'm currently learning actually is assertiveness training. I wish I was close enough to the book to show you, but there's a book that I'm currently reading on assertiveness because it's an area for myself that I want to develop more in. That's a part of me refathering myself. A lot of people who are, and this is more on the side of women, but men, it can show up in men as well. There's a spectrum of assertiveness. So you have people who are passive. You have people who are passive aggressive. You have people who are aggressive, and then you have assertiveness, which is the balance. It means that you know how to get your needs met. You know how to assert what it is that you want and also protect yourself from what it is that you don't want without disrespecting other people. So when you're passive, you don't know how to speak up for yourself. You have issues with speaking up for yourself. Okay? When you're passive aggressive, it means that you don't know how to speak up for yourself, but you have a certain level of anger and resentment. And you don't want it to be shown. You still want to appear innocent. So you will get your anger out at the person that you're angry at in a way that will still make you look innocent. That's what passive aggression is. And then you have outright aggression, which means you're going to get your needs met at the expense of other people, which means it doesn't matter if you disrespect the other person, you're going to get what you want. All of those are maladaptive. All of those are maladaptive. What you want is assertiveness. So that's a protective mechanism, assertiveness. Having good boundaries, knowing when to say no, letting your no mean no and your yes mean yes. Another thing that came to me was, I don't know if you all have heard of the book. It's a bestseller. It's called The 4 Agreements. The 4 Agreements. And the first agreement is I'm not gonna forget it. I'm gonna remember it. The first agreement is to be true to your word. To have to be impeccable with your speech. Be impeccable with your speech. Okay? That's the first one. Because a lot of us make agreements. We agree to things. We don't realize we're agreeing to them, but we are. And in doing so, we create a lot of situations that bring hell into our lives. So being impeccable with your word is the first agreement. Can't remember the other 3 off the top of my head, but you all should definitely look into that book. Now let me see what y'all are saying in here. I hope that answered your question, Eritrean Empress. Okay. Divine D says, please share when you have a chance. Share what? What do you mean? Don D. Hopper says, did her voice just change? Maybe it did. Amarva first says, post the ISBN to the book after the live. I would like to check it out. Okay. I'll put it in the description of the video. The book. Okay, she said the book. So you want me to share... Oh, you want me to share the book? Okay, yes, I will. I'll put it in the description of this video. Okay? The book on assertiveness, I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. Okay. So, where was I? Protecting yourself, right? Avoiding dangerous places, knowing how to assert yourself. Okay? And another aspect of masculinity is order and structure. Order and structure. So do you have good order in your life? Or is everything chaotic? Is everything out of place? And that starts really with your home. If you can get your home in order, it'll help you to get your life in order as well. Do you have systems in place so that your life moves smoothly? Order and structure. That is a part of the masculine characteristic. So this is a very important aspect of refathering yourself. Do you have discipline? Are you able to do what you need to do even when you don't feel like doing it? If not, then that's something that you need to work on as a part of refathering yourself. Okay? I don't know if you all can hear the noise in the background, but if you can, please excuse it. Okay? So that's where I'm going to leave the discussion today. Those are my suggestions on reparenting yourself, remothering, and refathering yourself. Okay, this is a part of root chakra healing, healing the inner child, things that may have happened to you, traumas that may have happened to you between normally the ages of 0 and 7 that left you feeling insecure, left you feeling unsafe, and it's still showing up in your life, still showing up in many ways. And I'll reiterate that physically it may show up in your structure, your physical foundational structure, the bones, the knees, the feet, if you're constantly having problems in those areas. Also in the organs that are correlated to the root chakra, the colon and the intestines. If you're consistently having issues in those areas, it is a sign that you have root chakra problems, meaning there's something related to your safety and security that hasn't been addressed. Okay, so I hope that this was helpful to you all. Thank you all for chiming in and spending some time with me. Divine D says, thank you so much for your time and information. I'm happy I caught the live. I'm happy you were here with me on the live. The Eritrean Empress says, thank you for everything you do, and I appreciate you deeply. I appreciate you too for being here. Thank you. Okay, so I will see you all next Monday. I'm probably going to clip this up and you'll see a few little clips of this on Instagram or on YouTube. And I'll keep the full version of this on YouTube as well. So my YouTube is Kemetic Wellness, and it's also, the link is in my bio. And I don't know why I didn't mention this. I should have. I'm very bad at promoting myself, y'all. I'm really not good at that. That's another thing I need to work on this year. But I am teaching a Kemetic Reiki level 1 course. It's an energy healing course. So it talks about this stuff. If you want to learn practical ways, African-centered ways to heal the unhealed energy, the unhealed trauma that's still showing up in your life, you want to visit me at kemeticwellness.com/programs and sign up for the Kemetic Reiki Level 1 program. If you have a question about it and it's not answered there, you can book a 15-minute clarity call with me. Okay, just go to book services, or if it's a quick little question, you can message me at kemeticwellness.com/contact and I will answer your question. Okay, I will see you all in the next video. Peace.